Welcome back in. We are at the Super Bowl Radio Row, San Francisco, as we get ready for Patriots Seahawks, and I am super excited to have sitting next to me right now Bo Jackson, one of the all-time legends.
In terms of power, he was the Derrick Henry of his era. He could run like Barry Sanders, but with Jim Brown's physicality. And on top of everything, he had the speed of a world-class sprinter. But he played before some of those guys were even in high school. And many consider him to be the greatest natural athlete ever. His name is Bo Jackson. However, everybody called him Bo.
Bo Jackson was as good an athlete as the country has seen probably since Jim Thorpe. To me, he's the greatest athlete of the...
And Bo Jackson played like he was a video game character, as many of his runs were never seen before in the NFL. Boy, he's got all kinds of moves. What move doesn't this guy have? Bo was a spectacle, a football superhero, and one of the biggest stars despite playing just 4 seasons in the NFL. This is the Bo Jackson story, and why he might be the most talented running back ever. But before we talk about Bo, we first have to mention his childhood, which was the biggest influence on his legendary career. Bo was the 8th of 10 children raised by a single mother in Bessemer, Alabama. But because of his stuttering problem and aggressive behavior, everyone called him a wild boar. Bo Jackson fell in love with sports as a kid, and he played obsessively, excelling in baseball, football, and track, while terrorizing the competition in his youth. In high school, Bo dominated in multiple sports, earning all-state honors in both baseball and football, which a few years later turned him into the most sought-after prospect in America. However, at the end of high school, Bo's path was unclear, and simultaneously, his focus shifted.
Last seconds ticked off of the clock. I made it a point to look across the field.
As a result, Bo nearly gave up football entirely at the age of 18. Bo then turned to baseball, and his love for hitting was quickly evident in his performance. When Bo was in elementary school, he had already started running faster than kids twice his age. By the mid-1970s, at the age of 13, he had begun dominating in organized sports. That year, Bo began training seriously after he told himself that he wanted to become the best athlete in the world and prove everyone wrong. Jackson was motivated that he could overcome his speech impediment through action. And the most crucial thing to Bo was to prove the habit of being unstoppable with his physical gifts. He made himself train everywhere relentlessly, even pushing his body to the limit when others went to rest.
Bo Jackson finally broke it. They contained him all night. With a back like that, you hammer him, hammer him, hammer.
Some of Bo's training methods would be considered insane in today's age, but Bo did everything with intensity, wanting to prove that he could dominate anything he attempted. Bo ran track while crushing baseball pitches with his legendary bat speed on his way to championships and football dominance on the way to Friday nights. He would sprint with incredible acceleration in track meets with his explosive speed and power at a level rarely seen. On football fields, he would break tackles on one side and outrun defenders to the other end zone. Jackson even excelled at baseball simultaneously. And despite people doubting a multi-sport athlete could succeed, Bo was relentless.
And then during the pregame warm-ups, he takes a football and he throws up and he hits the scoreboard, which previously only punters had done.
When he was 15, Bo started getting serious about football at Macadori High School, and he was always dominant in games and practices. And despite being younger than many top prospects, his father figures were coaching. Bo routinely challenged grown men in physical competitions and would almost always win. Jackson became so proficient with his athleticism that he could run a sub 4.2 40-yard dash consistently, a feat that some of the current NFL superstars can't do even once. I can't do it. I can't do it.
I make my way through the crowd, and as I sat on the bench, as soon as my butt touches the bench, somebody grabs my arm and says, "You on the other side, ML."
And even though Adrian Peterson made the one-handed stiff arm famous, Bo used to destroy defenders with his power before Peterson was even born. Jackson quickly started dominating on Friday nights at Macadori. And when college scouts came to watch, they couldn't believe what they were seeing. After one of Bo's touchdown runs, scouts stopped taking notes and shouted, "Who the hell is that kid?" Bo became so good that he started receiving scholarship offers from every major program at the age of 16. Opponents didn't respect him at first because they thought it was impossible to be that fast and that strong until he started running them over. Then they started taking him seriously and gang tackling him, but Bo would just break through and score regardless. In 1982, when Bo was 19, he committed to Auburn University, and that's where Bo became a legend. At that time, Jackson was already physically mature, and due to his incredible strength, he ran with power and speed that resembled a freight train mixed with a cheetah. Thus, the Bo Jackson era was born.
Bo Jackson hit behind the line, breaks tackle, 3 tackles. He's gone. Touchdown Auburn.
So he used to take the handoff and go downhill like a monster and run past defenders and resemble to this person the unstoppable force. So they said, yeah, it looks like he's running, like a superhuman.
Bo Jackson was the first superhero of my generation.
Bo arrived at Auburn in 1982, but due to his focus on baseball, football took time to become his priority. His coaches decided he should develop gradually for college. Bo then split time between sports, where he showed flashes of greatness in football. Now, standing at 6'1", Bo was absolutely unstoppable. And despite weighing just 222 pounds, he was sought after by baseball and football scouts across the country. Bo could have chosen any sport he wanted, but Auburn head coach Pat Dye used every available tactic to convince him to focus on football during the season. He gave me opportunities and said, "Show me what you can do, or transfer."
2 home runs, 412 feet to center, 464 feet to right center.
"Coach, I'm not committing unless you let me play baseball too," Bo said. Dye eventually relented, agreed to the 2-sport plan, and gave him freedom. Afterwards, Bo dominated at Auburn. However, because Bo's talent was split between 2 sports, regardless of his ability, people questioned if he could reach his potential. In his sophomore season, Jackson put up solid numbers with good yardage and explosive plays against SEC competition.
Bo Jackson was one of the last, how can I describe this? He was one of the last.
The word of his talent spread quickly, and the crowd at Auburn would often arrive early to watch Bo warm up and then go crazy once Bo touched the ball, showing pure excitement watching the running back. Bo improved steadily each season and led Auburn to important victories that year, while the defense, led by Bo's teammates, had dominant performances. In his junior year, when he became the feature back, he transformed from a regional star to a national sensation. Breaking tackles through defenders, jumping over linebackers, outrunning entire secondaries, and destroying every opponent that came across him. Jackson was a must-see spectacle. Even in the South, where football had always been the undisputed king among sports,
look easy, he's standing right in front of the receiver. Eventually, number 79, Eric Williams, makes the...
Everybody went completely insane for Bo because of his supernatural ability. Bo averaged over 100 yards per game as a junior, then exploded for over 1,700 yards as a senior, averaging ridiculous numbers, including 6.4 yards per carry and scoring constantly. He directly contributed to Auburn's offensive success during his tenure.
120, they run a play.
And they've got Bo back in the game. This is where Marcus would be a big factor.
And they run it again.
And with his brilliance, the Tigers qualified for major bowl games and national championship contention. With 4,303 career rushing yards, Jackson became one of Auburn's all-time greats. Despite playing 2 sports and missing time for baseball, analysts later calculated that his talent level would have produced even more incredible stats with full commitment.
A beautiful job of taking the ball, and naturally Smith right in front of him, a key block. But watch Bo.
Because he scored 43 touchdowns and averaged over 5 yards per carry. By the time he finished college, Bo Jackson was the most well-known athlete in the country, and he had plenty of options for continuing his career. He was contacted by MLB teams, all the NFL teams, and even track organizations who wanted him to compete in the Olympics. Jackson could run like a track star. He hit the ball better than professional baseball players, and he knew every football move in the book, between the tackles, around the edge.
My welcome to the NFL moment was, I don't know if it was my freshman year or I don't know if it was my first year or second year.
Breaking tackles with power. You name it, Bo Jackson was doing it. If he had focused on baseball only, he would have been a Hall of Famer, but he would have missed the NFL because he had a unique skill set. However, his dream was to play both sports professionally, and Bo won the Heisman Trophy in 1985 after a legendary senior season. We are most happy to announce that Bo Jackson has won the Heisman Trophy.
Touchdown, barreling through the defense, Bo Jackson.
Beautiful blocking by Wright coming off as a right tackle.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers selected Bo with the first pick in the loaded 1986 NFL Draft. However, Bo refused to sign with Tampa because of bad blood from the pre-draft process. This was a shocking decision by the best player available. Bo also signed a baseball contract with the Kansas City Royals, chose baseball initially, and became a professional athlete in a different sport, which didn't sit too well with NFL teams.
Jackson Matters back in Los Angeles tonight.
Dick, this is the combination a lot of fans who wonder why you don't have every play marked.
They didn't look at him as a committed football player and savior, but as an arrogant athlete with divided priorities who didn't deserve their first-round investment. He wasn't just a great athletic hope for one team, but for multiple sports. The problem was also in the perception. They didn't want to draft a player who might choose baseball. And for this guy, even playing two sports professionally was not a problem.
Watch that clock and take every second you can off of it.
By 7, 20-13. Bo with 2 touchdowns today.
Said scouts and executives. Sometimes he would dominate in baseball, and they would criticize him for not focusing on football and wasting his football talent. And when he chose football, they would say he should stick to one sport. There were doubters off the field and on the field because of his two-sport approach. Jackson eventually joined the NFL with the Los Angeles Raiders in 1987, running with power and speed, performing all sorts of incredible athletic feats, and delivering highlight reel runs to fans. So defenders often got destroyed or looked foolish trying to tackle him. One time, Brian Bosworth talked trash before a Monday night game, and Bo just ran him over on national television.
Gary, first down and more, easily to the 35-yard line. Let's quickly check the other scores, the late scores.
I couldn't believe it and just watched the replay over and over. The announcers went crazy because Bo embarrassed him. And why did he run that route? Let him try that against our defense. Defensive coordinators recounted in situations that perfectly reflected Bo's dominance. Bo averaged incredible numbers as a part-time player in his rookie campaign. But for the first time in his career, he was playing football while also playing professional baseball. Unlike in college, the main question for fans was no longer how dominant was Bo, but could he really do both? And the answer, more often than not, was absolutely. The Raiders had success in the regular season, and Bo's impact was immediate despite the limited touches per game. Bo averaged explosive yards per carry, but only played partial seasons due to baseball commitments. The media and fans questioned the two-sport approach, portraying Jackson as unfocused and unable to maximize his football potential. Bo took those claims personally, and in 1989, his second full football season,
It's explosion. He's really beating the defenders to the punch. That's the greatness that this guy has as an athlete. Defenders to the punch.
he averaged more carries, putting up monster rushing numbers, and his yards per game went up dramatically. He also stayed healthier, playing more games, which certainly had an impact on his dominance. That year, the Raiders competed for playoff spots, better than previous campaigns, and Bo's highlight runs were legendary, despite Jackson running for over 900 yards in limited games. But in 1990, Bo was tired of doubters questioning his commitment.
Ron Jones caught it, 88 yards.
He is going to be the infamous Ron Jones. He will be the one that's...
He started doing what he knew best, playing the most talented runner in football. Jackson rushed for over 700 yards in just 11 games, earning his only Pro Bowl selection and proving doubters wrong. The Raiders competed hard, but injuries started mounting for Bo. In his fourth season, Bo continued his explosive play, averaging career-best numbers per touch, the most efficient mark possible, and showed why he was special. However, the Raiders struggled with consistency, finishing with a losing record, and couldn't build around Bo's talent. It was clear that Bo's body was breaking down from two-sport demands. So, tragedy struck in the 1991 playoffs against the Cincinnati Bengals. The Raiders needed their proven star to deliver and establish themselves as contenders. And no one was better than Jackson, a legendary athlete and football phenom. Bo carried the ball on a routine play and suffered a devastating hip injury that ended his dominance.
Today's athletes struggle to stay healthy playing just one sport. Bo didn't just play two. When Nike launched the Bo Knows campaign, it wasn't hype. It was a fact.
But just one play later, his career began to crumble. The hip injury had caused permanent damage. The joint deteriorated rapidly despite attempts at rehabilitation. And in 1992, the damage was irreversible.
I told them numerous of times, if you draft me, you're going to waste a draft pick. I said, I swear to God, you're going to waste a draft pick. And they drafted me anyway. And
as doctors confirmed, his football career was over. After that, Bo began to reevaluate his life and legacy. And more than ever, he wanted to prove he could return to professional sports. So, he began to transform into a baseball-focused athlete rather than a two-sport star. However, his hip required replacement surgery, and Bo, despite his desire to compete again, had to fight just to walk normally. In 1993, Bo attempted a baseball comeback with an artificial hip. In 1994, he actually played for the Chicago White Sox, finishing with decent production. On September 14, 1993, Bo Jackson hit a home run on his return, which at the time was one of the most inspirational sports moments ever, and the most courageous comeback story by any athlete.
It was a home run, but the ump called it foul. On the next pitch, Bo hit a routine ground ball to second base.
Here's a long drive if it stays fair. It's gone. Bo Jackson. And the crowd goes wild. Look at the emotion. Bo did it. An incredible moment, a comeback story. That feat is even more impressive when we know that he was playing with an artificial hip, one of the first athletes ever to return to professional sports after hip replacement, and that he homered despite being told he'd never play again. But football was over permanently.
Extraordinary two-sport star Bo Jackson, number 34, just 3 weeks after baseball.
Bo like a jaw dropper for even professional athletes?
Yes.
Yeah?
I mean, you watch him come off the football field and just without.
And Bo accepted retirement from the NFL, willing to remember what could have been. In his brief NFL career, Jackson played only 38 games, averaging incredible production and career numbers that suggested greatness. He would have probably been a Hall of Famer eventually and likely even won Super Bowls with his talent. But then, unfortunately, he injured his hip in a playoff game.
Kansas City Royals. Any way you look at it, I have to do my job with the Kansas City Royals before I could do anything else. Whatever comes after baseball season.
And was forced to end his football career. Before he got hurt, Bo was producing at an elite level with incredible efficiency. After Jackson went down, his what-if legacy was cemented forever, and the football world mourned what could have been. To make things worse, Bo struggled with the artificial hip initially and faced long rehabilitation in the early 1990s, eventually returning to baseball.
Freak.
Holy Toledo!
He's probably the greatest athlete in the history.
And blocking, and watch these broken tackles. So his legs and
Due to persistent hip problems, Bo was often unable to play football, and doctors believed that if he couldn't run properly, he couldn't play. Baseball became his focus, and Bo retired from all professional sports in 1995. As a retired athlete, he was remembered by fans along with the legendary Nike Bo Knows campaign. Bo accepted his legacy, mostly remembered for highlights and potential. While his brief career finally gave him the recognition he deserved, after just 4 seasons in football, Bo Jackson finally earned his place among legends as one of the greatest athletes ever.
And not talent. Orsolak licks that one up. Get up that wall.
Bo knows exactly what he's doing.
Spider-Man!
However, Bo's body was damaged permanently, and he was able to play just partial seasons during his prime, during which he averaged over 5 yards per carry, making highlight plays constantly. His NFL career ended too soon, and the 1991 playoff game was the final game of Bo Jackson's legendary football career. He retired from the NFL at the age of 28, just like many great backs whose bodies broke down, with career averages of 5.4 yards per carry, 16 rushing touchdowns, and pure dominance. At the time of his retirement, he was the most explosive runner in football, and he's currently remembered as the ultimate what-if in NFL history. And even though teams wanted to give him more opportunities, Jackson feared that his hip would never fully recover.
Shame, though, that the TV coverage didn't quite capture this incredible play. All the focus was around the first base umpire being out of place on the call.
And he didn't want to be the version of himself far below his athletic talent. And when other running backs had long careers without him competing, Bo felt regret because he realized he could have achieved his championship dreams. After which he struggled with his identity as a former athlete and nearly lost himself completely. It took him several years to find peace, but through family and new pursuits, he bounced back. In 2022, Bo was honored with documentaries and ESPN features. And throughout his retirement, Jackson has remained active in charity work and business ventures. He and his friends often discuss what could have been. And during interviews, Jackson reflects on his career.
Sat on the bench. As soon as my butt touches the bench, somebody grabs my arm and said, "You on the other side, MF," and pushed me out on the field.
Reporters say that his perspective before ending conversations is, "I have no regrets." An analysis of Bo's career revealed that Jackson has been blessed with unprecedented athletic ability, possessing rare combination of size and speed and elite talent that captivated during his entire football journey. In one interview in 1990, Bo said, "I don't want to play both sports forever and then have my body give out at 30.
Are you surprised at your success in baseball?
No, I think I'm not trying to sound conceited or nothing, but I think the public is more.
But unfortunately, that's precisely what happened as he played both sports and his football career ended just after his 28th birthday. But despite his career ending too soon, Bo Jackson's legacy is alive and well, as many of the runs he showcased during the late 80s are now studied by running backs.
Reality, that probably helped Bo from a health standpoint. His 1990 baseball season was arguably better than his 1989 All-Star campaign.
If you look at Derrick Henry's stiff arm power, it's nearly identical to Jackson's from the 80s. Handoff. Jackson with a stiff arm destroys the defender, goes for the touchdown. Marshawn Lynch was famous for his beast mode runs, but Jackson did that first. Through the line, how about a little beast mode there? Saquon Barkley was famous for his hurdles over defenders, but you guessed it, Bo did it 30 years earlier. Jackson, boy, he's got all kinds of moves. What move? Spin moves like Barry Sanders or breaking tackles like Jim Brown. It was all routinely done by Bo. Bo runs. Oh, come on. Jackson was a trendsetter who inspired generations. And if your favorite running back didn't learn from Bo, they likely stole some moves from someone who stole from Bo. Adrian Peterson breaking tackles and he scores. When he played the game, the NFL was dominated by traditional running backs like Eric Dickerson and Walter Payton. And freaks like him were unicorns. Other than Herschel Walker, nobody else combined that much speed and power, let alone made it look effortless with such dominance. Not too many can run the combination better than Bo Jackson. With an unbelievable combination of speed and power, breaking tackles with both strength and elusiveness, elite acceleration, and the ability to both run inside and outside, Bo Jackson played a brand of football that was video game level. If he played a full career, he would likely have rushed for over 10,000 yards easily. And if he had stayed healthy, he could have easily been an MVP multiple times and won several championships. And since he was the greatest pure athlete of his era, having natural gifts beyond comprehension, Bo Jackson is arguably the most talented running back of all time. I'm not a greedy person. I don't care to have 10 Hall of Fame speeches. I just want to be remembered. Thank you for watching. And if you like this video, like and subscribe for more just like this one.